Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Tim Ashworth, and I am one of the car consigners here, together with various other jobs like pushing cars around and occasionally cleaning cars. I'll talk to you all today about my car history. So, what cars have I owned? Basically, I've been into cars since Pussy was a kitten, many years. And my first car was this. So I passed my test in 1984, which horrendously is 40 years ago now. I bought my first car, which Fiat 127 Sport, black with an orange stripe down the side. Some of you may recognise the make and model. I bought that in the back end of 1986. So it was nearly 3 years before I could buy my first car and afford it. So I had to save up for it. It cost me the princely sum of £950. And then I managed to get £50 knocked off because it needed a new back box. And on those, you might recall it was a double exhaust, which was part of the reason why I bought it, actually. There was that, and the stripe, of course, and the black and orange interior, which was a feast for the eyes, shall we say. That was a great little car. I know they were prone to rust, but that one had been rust-proofed. I owned that for a good couple of years. I added a few things to it. So on that photo, you might see the spotlights on the front, the under bumper spotlights, the chrome wheel embellishers. I sprayed the wheels. That car got polished every week without fail. It was a little beauty. And then I sold it to a girl I used to work with at Barclays at the time. So I owned that through till 1988, which is when I bought this. So what we have there is a Ford Fiesta 1.3 Ghia. So I went all posh with the Ghia spec. Again, that was a great little car, never let me down. I put some 1.4S wheel trims on it in white. We had the spotlights on the front because what I really wanted was an XR2. So I had to wait for the XR2 because that was actually my next car. So I bought that in 1989. So F468 XLV Mercury Grey XR2. Basically, I thought I was the dog's nuts when I got that car. It's something I aspired to since, I was young. I wanted an XR2. Didn't get an XR2 Mark 1, but got an XR2 Mark 2, which was even better. I love that car. That was super. I got the wheel trims pinched, actually, because it didn't have alloys. So I got the wheel trims pinched outside my friend's house in Birkenhead. But I managed to get a replacement set from a chappie up in Warrington, I think it was, I bought them from. It's amazing the things that you remember, or don't, as the case may be. So I had that a couple of years, actually, and then I was doing reasonably well at work. I had a little bit of a cheeky bonus in my back pocket. So I went out and bought that, which is an XR2i Fiesta with electric windows and central locking. So this is a whole new world of wonderful fitments and fixtures on a car. Again, the old Mercury Grey with the blue stripe this time in the bumpers. That was actually I think it was a rental car that had been on Jersey. So it was only 3 months old when I bought it in December 1990, I think it was. But I love that car. That was fantastic. So I paid $8,995 for that. When at the time, I think brand new Fiestas at Blake's of a similar spec were probably 12 grand, 13 grand. So I saved myself a pretty penny on that one. And then just a follow on from that, I actually sold that car to my dad because I needed the money to buy my first house, which I did. So I bought my first house using some of the proceeds from the XR2i that my dad bought, and I bought this. Now that's not actually the right car. It's very similar. It's a Ford Escort Mark III, a 1.6 Ghia, but mine was a 3-door version in Caspian blue. That one's obviously a 5-door version in, I'm not sure what colour, I think that may be China blue. But anyway, it's a different blue. Academic is ostensibly the same car. That was when it was skint. You know, the first time you buy a house, you skint. I didn't have any money whatsoever, but I had enough money just to buy a very old, 10-year-old at the time, Ford Escort, which was great. One night, drizzly night, I was travelling home. My dad was in front of me in his newly acquired XR2i from me. I was behind him in my Escort. My dad slammed on, went into the back of somebody, and I slid into the back of my dad in my Escort. So that was a bit of a nightmare for the Ashworth family in terms of insurance claims and liability. Anyway, we all settled amicably. So I ran around in that Escort. It served me well for a good few years up until 1995, when I bought my first brand new car. So again, I was doing reasonably well at work. I needed something reliable to get me to work, but I wanted a new car. And I went completely off-piste here. I was taken with the Suzuki Swift GLS. Now, a bit of a curveball, that one, given my previous records of Fords and Fiats, but that was a super little car. I did nearly 100,000 miles in that car over the course of about 6 years. Never let me down. Tell a lie, I got a stone in the radiator one time, and there was a very slow leak on the radiator. That's the only time I ever went wrong. I had it serviced every 12 months. Never let me down. Little 3-cylinder, 3-pot engine, 993cc, sounded like a Porsche. Didn't go quite as fast as a Porsche. It was all out of puff about 90. It's about 90, but it was a super little car. That I love that. And then I moved on to a succession of different cars. That's the flavour for my first 6 cars or so. Obviously, houses get in the way when you move house, and jobs get in the way. So I then had a succession of cars after that, everything from a Ford Ka to a Mazda MX-5 to an Audi A4 convertible. I've had a couple of Mini Cooper S's along the way, the BMW ones as well. My latest daily is a very nice little Honda CRZ hybrid coupe. So mine's a white one. I used to own one in a day. I bought a brand new one back in 2010, which was a red one. Again, can't complain. Did 100,000 miles in that in 3 years because I was busy with the job I had at the time, and that never let me down. Amazing reliability. What these pictures don't show you, and what I haven't told you as well, is in the background, I'm into my minis. So I've got a couple of minis at home. I've got a 1960 Morris Mini Minor, which I drove home from Birmingham on the M6. Why would you do that? I was maxed out at 50. I was so scared, actually, I ended up coming off the M6, going along the M54, and then up the A41 home because it was too scary to drive on the motorway. I've got a 1978 1275 GT in a very alluring shade of russet brown with a cream vinyl roof, or kind of a light brown vinyl roof. I've got a Mini Cooper 35 special edition, which I took to Italy on the Italian job run, which was amazing. All you Mini fans out there, if you want to do the Italian job, do it. It's 2 weeks out of your life. It's the most fantastic experience. 2,000 miles in 2 weeks. You'll love it. And I've just acquired another 1275 GT, actually, a blue one, a denim blue one, which just needs a bit of restoration. We'll be getting there. And I've got a Mini Cooper, 1968 Mini Cooper as well, which is being restored. So it's all go at the moment in the life of Tim Ashworth and cars, as it is normally. My favourite car that I've ever owned won't be everybody's cup of tea. I like my Minis, and I like my BMW Minis, and I've had a few Cooper S's, but my favourite car, purely because of what it did at the time and how comfy it was my Rover 75 CDTI Tourer Connoisseur. I probably got the words mixed up there, but you get the general drift. I was doing a lot of miles at the time. It was practical, it was comfy, it had the BMW diesel engine with a turbocharger. So, you know, adequate performance, it was economical. I think the Rover 75s are vastly underrated. They're definitely an up-and-coming classic. If you haven't tried one or driven one, try one. Either the Rover 75 or the MGZT version. I'm a big advocate of them. You can still get spare parts for them, so give it a go. So of all the cars I've ever owned, which one would I like to own again? It's a toughie. It's a toughie, but I think all things considered, my XR2, my XR2 Mark II that I owned in the late 80s. It was 12 months old when I bought it, Mercury grey. It had done about 12,000 miles. I bought it from a chap in Upton on the Wirral. It served me well. It was exciting to drive. I loved it. I thought I was the bee's knees. I'd made it, as it were. I hadn't actually, but it was great at the time. And yeah, and I think I paid about £5.5 for it. It's probably worth a touch more than that now, if it still exists. I don't think it does. But yeah, that's the one I'd like to have again if I possibly could. I'd like to thank you all for listening in today. Hope I didn't bore you rigid. But it's been great to look back at my car history, going back nearly 40 years, which is just, like I said before, it's scary to think where the time's gone. And you'll be hearing a lot more from my other colleagues about their car history as well. So tune in, and I'll see you all soon.